Episode of Takeaway Tip Tuesday. Thank you for tuning in, whether you're watching live or you are catching this on the replay. This is a show where I give you easy to use spiritual tools to help you simplify your life and business, because who wants more complicated? Not me. So today's topic is one that I think you're really going to enjoy. I'm going to be sharing with you ways that you can clear a space of negative, dense, heavy, or toxic energy. And the reason why this is kind of timely is because we are actually only, I think it is 12 days away from spring, although it certainly doesn't feel like it. I went for a walk this morning with my neighbor, and it's minus 23 here today, hence the kind of more casual look. I've got all my underlayerings on here. But yeah, whether it feels like spring or not, it's still going to be arriving soon. And I know that gets people into the mood to do sort of a deeper spring cleaning. In fact, this past weekend, I ripped apart this whole office and did a big top to bottom clean. And that in and of itself can make a space feel really, really good. But when you actually address the energy in a space, that can just take it to that whole other level. So that's what I want to be talking about here today. And it kind of follows along a bit of a theme we've been having going on here in the last few episodes about how to, deal with things like negative energy and how we need to protect ourselves from that. And last week I talked about some crystals that you can use to help with that. So if you haven't had a chance to watch those, they're still up on the page. You can go back and catch the replay. But like I said, today specifically, I want to talk about how you can clear a space. So again, if you're just joining in, I'm Ramona Remisat. I'm your host for Takeaway Tip Tuesday. I'm an intuitive success coach, author, and speaker, and just thanking you so much for sharing your time here with me today. And remember that this is interactive, so if you have a comment, you can post it. If you have a question, you can ask that. If you want to just watch, that's fine. And you can also send me some hearts or thumbs up and let me know if you're enjoying what I'm talking about. So I'm going to get right into this. Clearing a space. Why is that important? Well, if you live like me in the Northern Hemisphere, we are trapped indoors several months of the year. And that means that energy can kind of build up, it can accumulate similarly to like dust and debris in a home, right? And we need to regularly clear that out. Otherwise, it can make a space feel kind of stagnant, can make it feel heavy. And when you've gone into a place, let's say you visited somewhere, if it has sort of that really feel good vibe, you just feel comfortable there, you enjoy being in that place. Or conversely, you may have gone into a space where you just felt like you wanted to get out of there as soon as you could. It just didn't have the right feeling, right? So that is also what can be at play. If you have a lot of negative or heavy energy in a space, it can just, it has a feeling and it's not a good feeling, and it can make you feel uncomfortable, even if it's your own home, right? And we don't want that. You want to feel comfortable in your space. So that's one of the reasons why space clearing is so important. And it's something like a regular home cleaning that is kind of good and useful to do on a regular basis, not just wait until spring comes up and then you feel that itch, like I said, to do the big spring clean. But because that's coming up, this might be an optimal time for you to consider clearing your space. And not just your home or room, right? Definitely there's negative energy that builds up in a workplace, right? A lot of times that's what people say. They complain about their job because they said the energy there is just a real drag, drags them down. So workplace is somewhere you can clear the energy, and even your car. Think about that. If you don't like your job and every morning you get into your car to drive there and you're kind of not feeling great, the emotions that you're feeling are not high vibe emotions. And then at the end of the day, depending on what kind of day you've had, you're probably again not in the best emotional space. So your car can, keep that stuff sort of trapped inside. So think of space clearing as something that you can also do outside of your home in, like I said, a workplace or even in your car. So that's sort of some things to consider as well. Okay, so I want to talk about different ways that you can do this. And I like these because, like I said, I'm all about simple. These are things you can do very easily with pretty much stuff you already have around the house. And it doesn't, mean that you have to go out and get anything fancy to be able to do this. And it doesn't take up a lot of time either. And the way that you can remember these different tricks is SASS, S-A-S-S. Okay, so the first way that you can clear a space is by using sound. And it can be as simple as going into the corners of all the rooms in your house and clapping really loudly to just break up that stagnant, like I said, dense or heavy energy that's sitting there, right? If you have some wooden spoons or salad tongs, you know, you can, that's pretty loud. You can bang those, you know, all around the room, like I said, as well, to kind of break up that energy. If you have a little dinner bell, you know, you can use that. If you have a whistle, you know, that can also work. Or even think of your keys, right? You know, a lot of people have a big clump of keys that you keep on a keychain. You can use that. So there's lots of different ways. Even if you have Tibetan singing bowls or tingshas, that's another mechanism that you can use for sound to clear a space. So lots of different options. You can feel it out and see what works for you or what you have readily available. Like I said, you don't necessarily have to run out and get anything fancy. You can do this using everyday items that you have in your house. So that's the first S of SASS. The A is for Archangel Michael, one of my favorite angels to work with. And Archangel Michael is all about protection, and that includes protecting you and your loved ones, your space. So you can call on Archangel Michael and ask him to come and just clear away any negative, dense, heavy, toxic energy that could be lingering in whatever space it is that you want to clear. Like I said, whether it's your entire home, a specific room, maybe it's an environment in a workplace or your vehicle or something of that nature, he can come and help you with that. And that doesn't cost you anything. And you don't have to get you don't even have to leave your house, right? It's so readily available. Michael is a non-denominational being. He can work with everybody. You don't have to follow an organized religion to work with the angels. And he can be with everybody simultaneously. So you never have to worry about, you know, if you call on him thinking that you're taking him away from something more important, because that's not how it works. So Archangel Michael's available to all of us at any moment, and definitely a wonderful angel that you can work with. Okay, the next mechanism to clear space, and the second S of SASS, is to use, where is it? Oh, I didn't bring it here to demonstrate, but you all know, salt. Plain old salt. You can use table salt if that's all you have, or if you have sea salt, that works really well. And you can just put small little containers of salt in the corners of a room, right? Or if you want, you can take a bowl with some water and put some salt into that and leave it in the middle of a room. Maybe not great if you have pets or young children around, you know, that might not be a method, so you might want to work with something else. But salt is very, very effective to use to clear a space. So that's something else that you can try, and you can play around with these. You know, try one method, try a different method, see if one feels better to you, or if it feels like it was maybe more effective at clearing out some of that energy, and just play around with it and see, you know, which one works better for you. And then the last one is one you probably may have heard of already. It's to do a practice called smudging your space. And this is something that a lot of indigenous people around the world use, this mechanism or this method. And it just involves burning sage. Typically it's white sage, and it will come dried. This is a really big bundle. You know, it sometimes will be in a bundle like this. This is called a sage stick. Sometimes it's the loose leaves that are dried, and you can put them in a heat-proof bowl, right? And basically, it's just taking the sage, and you're gonna, whoop, am I gonna get this to cooperate? Maybe not, hold on. Okay, we got our flame going here. I don't wanna burn down my house during this demo. So I'm gonna light the sage stick on so it's flaming. Okay, and then you just burn it out or blow it out so it's smoking like this. And then you can use something like a feather, right, if you have one. If you don't, that's fine. You don't have to run out and get a special fancy feather. You can use your hand, piece of paper, anything. And you can take this into the corners of your room, all around your windows, around the entrances. Let that smoke waft over. It's so good to smudge yourself. Oh my God, that feels so good. You know, now this has a very pungent smell, so I'm going to warn you, if you haven't worked with sage before, you know, people kind of either love the smell or they don't like the smell. So I'm just going to put this out so it's not distracting me, although that's my next step. I told you I cleaned my office from top to bottom on the weekend, and now I'm going to be giving it a really, really good smudge. And sometimes people like to use a combo of the white sage with some lavender, maybe even some cedar leaves in there. So, you know, sometimes there's smudge blends that you can get. You know, like I said, you don't have to get fancy. Whatever, you know, works. You can use a sage incense stick. Sometimes people have that or they prefer that over using the actual leaves, you know, the burning leaves. And if you're really not a fan of that smokiness, you don't want that in your home, you can usually find smudge spray that is just as effective, and it's just a spray. I like to use that for you know, daily use, right? When I'm working with clients before and after, or, you know, just to kind of do a quick cleanup. It's kind of like a quick cleanup. And then when you want to deep clean, then you can go to your smudge or your sage, white sage, and burn that to really get that energy lifted. It just feels so much better after. It feels lighter. I don't know. I just feel like after I've saged a room, I don't know, I just feel like energized. I feel really, you know, good. So that's something else that you can work with. That one, you know, if you don't live near a place that readily sells this, and I've seen it in health food stores, you know, metaphysical bookstores, crystal shops, all of those kinds of places. If you don't live near somewhere like that, you can buy it online. You know, you can Google whatever and purchase your sage online so that you can have that in your home and give that a try. So just to recap, ways that you can clear energy from your space: SASS, so that was sound, you know, using whatever method you have available, whether it's just clapping loudly into the corners of a room, around the entrances, windows, using some salad tongs, a little bell, card keys, whistle, whatever, you know, if you have tingshas, singing bowls, any of those will work. The other thing that you can use is calling on Archangel Michael, right? And asking him to just come and clear that energy of your space. You can work with salt, sprinkling some in the corners of a room or placing it in a bowl with some water in the middle of a room. Or you can use the sage, like I said, and smudge your space. So those are all methods that you can try. Like I said, test them out. Try which one, you know, try different ones and see which one works best for you. So that's my tip for today's episode of Takeaway Tip Tuesday. Thanks so much for watching. And if you would like to get more tips, I invite you to join my mailing list at ramonaremisat.com/free gift. You will also get my free video series. It's called The 3 Essential Steps to Getting Anything You Want in Life. And I kind of call it my secret recipe. So if you include all 3 ingredients, then you're going to be very pleased with the way that the end result comes out. So be sure to grab that. Again, it's at Ramona Remisat, RamonaRemisat.com/free gift. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week for another episode of Takeaway Tip Tuesday.